you are going.
The Adventures of Cowboy Jessie and Cowboy Earl by H.R. Hunsaker. Tonight's episode, The Cat Who Got Away.
It was just another day on the ranch as a lost cat jumped on the railing of the corral and startled Earl. Jessie chuckled and quickly stifled it as Earl displayed his annoyance. "Well, what do you know?" said Jessie. "A lost cat." "How do you know it's lost?" asked Earl. Jessie pointed to the cat's neck. "See, Earl, she's got a collar on but no tag." "Oh, I see, Jessie. You're some kind of cat expert," gruffed Earl. "I got no use for 'em myself. I'm going to go make some signs and post 'em around so we can get rid of her." "Do what you want, Earl," replied Jessie. "I'm going to run into town and get her some cat food." Jessie got in the truck and drove into town for cat food while Earl took a picture of the cat with his iPhone. He went into the bunkhouse and downloaded the cat's picture onto his iMac, then printed up some flyers with Jessie's phone number on it on his HP LaserJet. Earl set out from the ranch and posted flyers around one of the newly sprung neighborhoods adjacent to the ranch. Satisfied that he had covered enough ground, Earl went back to the ranch. Soon after Earl had made it back to the ranch, Jessie showed up from town with a container of Purina deli cat. Jessie opened the lid and poured some of the food onto the ground. The cat was starved and ate voraciously, while Earl stood back glaring at it with contempt. While the cat was eating, Jessie went in the bunkhouse to get a water bowl. The cat quickly downed the food and sauntered over to Earl and began walking figure eights around his legs while purring louder than a snoring bear. The cat's display amused Earl, and when she effortlessly jumped up on the corral railing, Earl was struck by her grace. Earl was so smitten by the cat that he didn't even feign annoyance when Jessie came back with the water bowl. Over the course of a week, Earl and the cat became inseparable to the point of Earl insisting on her sleeping in the bunkhouse and eating at the table with him. He even sent off for a subscription to Cat Fancy magazine. After the second week, the cat ran out of food and Earl went into town to get another container of deli cat. When Earl returned with the cat food in hand, Jessie announced proudly, "Earl, they picked her up." "Picked who up?" asked Earl. "The cat's owners, a husband and wife back in the new neighborhood. They found one of your flyers. They called me on my cell phone," replied Jessie. Earl kicked at the ground, stirring up a cloud of dust. "I should have taken down those damn flyers," he muttered under his breath. "But Earl," urged Jessie, "they were so worried about her and happy to have her back, Earl. Earl, she's back home." Earl looked at Jessie in disgust. "Jessie," said Earl as his voice trailed off. "Jess, she was already at home." Earl saddled up Tego and rode as fast and as far away as he could. Earl moped around the ranch for 3 days before going online and doing a reverse phone number search to find the cat's owners. He grabbed the unopened container of deli cat and put it in Tego's saddlebag. They rode 3 miles to the neighborhood and, using his GPS app, arrived at the owner's house. He tied Tego to the mail post and carried the cat food to the door. After ringing the doorbell, Earl stepped back and waited for the door to open. Within moments, a young man opened the door. Noting the bag of cat food in his hand, he stated, "You must be that cowboy who found our cat, Tinker." "Tinker," replied Earl as he looked into the house for the cat. I don't know if I'd have named her Tinker, but that's neither here nor there." "How can I help you?" asked the young man. Earl stammered while holding up the cat food. "Here, I thought you might want to have this cat food. I mean, she likes it and all. It's deli cat, her favorite." "Oh, no," replied the young man. "We only feed her IAM's weight control. It's good for her." "You'll go broke feeding her that, son," continued Earl. "Besides, being happy is what's good for her. Nope, nothing but IAMs in this household." Earl was getting impatient with the young man. He adjusted his stance a little and tilted his head just right. He stood as motionless as a rattler on the hunt and never took his eyes off of him. When the young man averted his eyes, Earl thrust the deli cat into his hands. The young man was frightened and clutched the container. Earl moved in. I said she likes Deli Cat. She likes the way it sounds when you shake it. Besides, it's affordable, convenient to pour, and the screw-on lid keeps everything fresh. The young man began nervously nodding in agreement. Yes, sir, Deli Cat. Earl tipped his hat to the young man and turned and walked towards Tago. He had gotten halfway down the walkway when the young man hollered out, Sir, sir. Earl turned and faced him without saying a word. Sir, I was just wondering what you would have named her. Son, replied Earl, I called her Fancy. The young man stood clutching the container of Deli Cat and watched Earl as he rode away. Earl never spoke of her again. The end.
Do not hasten to bid me adieu.